Okay. The Thursday, February 8th voting meeting of the Keystone Central School District. Please stand for the flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A roll call, please.
Dr. Baldino,
Here.
Mr. Cannon,
Here.
Mrs. Donahue,
Here.
Mr. Elling, Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch,
Here.
Mr. Scaff,
Here.
and Mrs. Smith. Here. 8 members present.
First up, we have a budget presentation. Joni.
Text pulling it up on the screen. Okay. So this is looking at 24-25 budget update. This is the numbers we have currently in time. There are still numbers that we do have to, continually look at to keep updating. But as of right now, this is our snapshot in time. So the second page will show the budget timeline for 24-25. You can go to the next slide. Which we've seen in multiple presentations. The next slide shows the general fund balance as of 6/23. Thanks. Again, this has been in multiple presentations where we discussed the ending balance and what that will look like, as well as Capital Fund 32 at 1.9. The next slide shows you, again, the predicted fund balance after the 2 resolutions that the board will approve, moving the 1.7 and the 640,000 committed and transferred per the resolutions. The next slide will show you the 5-year financial picture, and this is with a no tax increase. A couple of changes I made since the Finance Committee presentation was I did increase the benefit from 8% to 9%. That was a huge increase. And we're going to try to hold the health insurance at 9%, but they're coming in telling us that it could possibly be another double-digit year. Last year was 11%. Like I said, we're trying to hold it at 9%, but there's some things we just don't have control over. So you see, again, the 23-24 is not balanced due to the level up money we didn't receive. And if no tax increase, you're looking at 5.9 of a shortfall for 24-25. The next slide shows you if there was a 1.78% millage increase, which equates to about 25%, it would bring in about 467,000. And the shortfall would be about 3.4 for 24-25. The next slide would then show you if you increased it to 50% or 3.55% millage. Your shortfall would then be about 3 million, 2.9. The next slide would show you what it would look like with a 75% or a 5.34% millage increase. Your shortfall would be about 2.5. So as you can see, each 25% brings in about $500,000 additional tax. The next slide will show you, again, there's still calculations under consideration. We are still working through the budget request from the department heads. We are still working through position control, repurposing staff, attrition, and we'll work through those into March. We'll know the healthcare rates sometime in April, definite, going into next year. We are working through 2 negotiations, support and secretary. And as Tracy indicated last meeting, we are very close with the secretary. And I have actually added those projected numbers into the budgets already. We believe the cyber and charter schools, we usually average a little bit of like 3% increase, and we've seen that continue every year. There's always considerations of how we're going to handle the capital projects going forward. And we also we'll need to decide the use of the fund balance. The revenue side, there will be a decrease in ESSER funding. We did lose the level up money. That's not guaranteed going forward. There was a small decrease in title funding. Tax collections, the collection rate was slightly lower from last year to this year, or the year before to this year. And then the board will need to discuss a possible tax increase come March or April. April will need to be what direction. March really will be what direction you want us to go. The board will want us to go. Also on that note, Shapiro met, and the biggest education proposals that he has on board right now is they're looking at a 1.1 billion proposed increase for the basic ed funding formula, which is about 13.62% increase. They're looking at a 50 million proposed budget for special ed funding. They're looking at the 50 million proposed PCCD grants, which many of us and the administration team are looking into for physical safety and security. They're looking at another 100 million proposed for mental health, school mental health support grants. And there's also the 300 million available for environmental repairs and improvement grants. Again, administration is meeting to, we will submit for whatever grants we can for building, for security, for safety, any of those grants that we can possibly apply for, we will. They're looking at a 2.4 million increase for career and tech ed. And the one that I don't think I've seen in any of the budgets, these are all normal proposed budget, and who knows what the numbers will really look like, but this is what's on the table now. There is one out there that establishes a statewide cyber tuition rate of $8,000 per student. Now, I did not have time to calculate what that would mean for us, what we pay now. And this is only cyber. This is not charter. This is not the brick and mortar. This is just cyber. If it would be reduced to 8,000, like I said, I didn't have time to do that calculation, but I will, to see what that number would look like versus what we pay now versus if it was 8,000. And then there was also 500 million in bond funding to expand the strategic investments. I don't know, that's more agriculture and manufacturing, but just wanted to let you know, I'm also on a webinar tomorrow and they'll discuss the details. They might give us a little more drill down of how it will affect Keystone versus just high level. This is the big number. So anybody have any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Joni?
Joni and I went over all the stuff I had from last week and we've got that squared away, so.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Joni. So next up would be a hearing.
Excuse me, Chair Butch?
Just Butch, please, Elizabeth. Yes, Elizabeth.
Just Butch? Okay. I mean, President Butch. Just Butch. Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person again. I'm really hoping that Joni, administration, all the key people, that they come to some finance committee meeting in the future and let us know what their vision is, what they need. And in regards to grant writing, yes, we've talked about this many times, but just to even expand on it, maybe we could discuss what options they are thinking of, or ask us what options we're thinking of. I mean, even something as simple as starting to contact the county government. Maybe there's a partner there. I don't know. But she really highlighted some really key things in her presentation that definitely would really help us out. But it's one thing if to go after this with everything we have versus filling out an application. So I look forward to those conversations in the future. And thank you so much, Joni and everyone. I know it's a snowball and a half and it keeps getting bigger, but thank you so much. Okay? Appreciate it.
Thank you, Member Elizabeth. Okay, next up, I believe it would be hearing of visitors. I think we have one signed up. I think Ms. Whitney, are you signed?
Nobody is here. Oh,
So if you would just state your name, address, and we can't hear you, I think you're still muted.
No, she's unmuted now.
So name, address, remember you have 4 minutes, please.
No. We can't hear you right now.
How about now?
Now we got you. Okay,
All right, my name is Michelle Whitney, 1037 Partridge Circle, Lock Haven. Good evening, everyone. I saw recently on Facebook that you had job postings, and I have to ask why. Are we shaping our district's workforce to be aligned with our student population? This district student population has consistently declined, while jobs have increased exponentially. If you recall the Crabtree-Robrow facilities study, they predicted the continual decline of student population. And that certainly we have seen. What they have predicted has happened. Dickey Elementary School was closed. 274 or so students lost their schools, but 20+ employees didn't lose their jobs. They were moved to other schools or they were given positions that were created for them. The growth of staff is not sustainable. Taxpayers are losing their homes because they can't afford the taxes. And quite a few of those taxpayers are our elderly who have worked all of their lives for those homes. And I cannot stand to go to too many more people's doors and hear their horror stories of how they had to be moved into senior housing and such because they couldn't afford the taxes. It's truly heartbreaking. Over the last decade, KCSD has experienced a substantial decline in enrollment. Since 2015-16, KCSD has lost 658 students. We declined consistently every month, down from 3,688 in December 2020 to 3,344 this year. Clinton County as a whole is struggling. I've been on a soapbox yelling this for about 4 years now. Predominantly, we suffer from brain drain, which is a term that's used usually for third world countries, but it applies for our rural area as well. And the reason that, or what brain drain is when your youth move away, but they don't return to raise their children. They head to the cities, they grow their careers, they start their lives, they have children, and oftentimes they want to come back and be raised the way that they were raised. But we have to have a good reason for them to come back, and having exceptional schools, not just good schools, exceptional schools is one way. And our county pivots completely on this district. So in order for our county to be successful, we're dependent upon you as a school board to be successful and as school administration to be successful in order to save the entire county. In order to bring people, we have to have these great schools. And I don't mean to pick on Elizabeth Lynch, and please don't take it as a dig, Elizabeth. I'm just going to use one of your projects as an example. I appreciate all you do, and I think that a couple of your ideas are really quite good. But I'm kind of questioning why we're naming schools now, and if that's really what the true priority should be. And that's my statement for today. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
thank you. Okay, moving through.
Butch,
Yes, Elizabeth?
may I please say, I know we're not really supposed to say anything, but I
What we
just,
don't
it
respond
seems-
back to the public hearing.
yes,
we
but
go
this
ahead.
is just to the greater community member. This rumor has been going around for a long time. 2 years ago, if I may just have a moment for clarification, please, Butch.
Go ahead. Elizabeth.
About 2 years, thank you. About 2 years ago, when Liberty Curtain was still first discussed, we were talking about costs, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when the naming rights policy first discussions began to help offset some of those costs potentially. And yes, I did say back then that maybe Liberty Curtain, if we had, we're talking millions of dollars here. We're not talking just like 100. If someone, company donated millions of dollars, potentially renaming the school. But that conversation is dead. The community didn't want it. Nobody wants it. So seriously, please. Conversation is dead. Liberty Curtain is not getting renamed. Okay, thank you, but I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Next up would be the superintendent's report.
I have a few things to mention. I'll try to go through them fairly quickly, but there's some exciting news. First of all, I want to come back around on a couple of things that I've heard in previous board meetings. One is a question about our staffing and how we're doing on that. And the other question was about our level of participation for both our athletics and our extracurricular activities. So working with the administrators and our team, trying to find out how often and when would be the best time to bring that kind of report to the board. I think it's important that we share that information with you, but I want to make sure it's when it makes the most sense so we can give you a comprehensive report. So what I propose to the board is I bring you reports in June that look at what does our staffing look like, both what are our staffing numbers, how many folks are retiring, how many positions are open, that sort of thing. And then at the same time, give you a more comprehensive report about our participation rates in both athletics and extracurricular activities. And we'll have that broken down by school and by each kind of thing, whether it be football or theater or whatever. So just want to check with you all to make sure that that makes sense with you. I think that makes the most sense in terms of when that information is available, but to have that in June for you in our June board meeting.
I was
Yeah, I
just gonna
think
ask
that
if
works.
you do it earlier, because we have to have our budget in place before the June meeting. I think that information is good for us when we vote on the budget in May.
The
The student or the staffing member.
Oh, the staffing members. I think two different things. So we'll just give you the June is just kind of an update on, in and out and openings. But in terms of staffing need, yes, that will come much earlier. The staffing need you'll be hearing about starting probably next month or shortly thereafter.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, when I was first hired, we talked about 3 goals that I have for the year. One of which is that these goals are intended to help me integrate into our teams, to learn more about the strengths and struggles of our students, our staff, and our schools, and to become a part and representative of KCSD to our community. In addition, part of my goals is to ensure the administration regulations are organized, up to date, and consistent with our comprehensive plan, mission, and vision. So I want to give you a quick little update on where I am on those things, even though this is day 8 of me officially being in the role. Things are moving right along. The work on the ARs is constant. Working with Patty, it seems like every day or so we're talking about more ARs, and some of those ARs that will come along with proposed policies like the naming rights. There's a lot of work on the background, not just about what the policy is, but what the AR is. So that's we're continuing to work on that, and I have to thank both the directors and the administrators as well as Patty for helping move that project forward. In my first 7 days, I visited Bucktail, Central Mountain Middle School, Central Mountain High School, Robb Elementary, Liberty Curtin Elementary, and Woodward Elementary, both meeting students and staff and learning from our excellent principals about both their leadership and their teamwork. Tomorrow, I'm going to visit Amy and Mill Hall, and then I get to go see Brett and Renovo next week. So in addition, tomorrow I get to spend some time with Claire, who you've heard from. She is our student representative from Central Mountain High School. So I'm going to be spending some time with her, learning about her experiences and what things are like for her in the high school. In the community, I've met with the Clinton County Economic Partnership and the Keystone Foundation. And coming up, I have meetings scheduled with Kiwanis, not scheduled yet, but on the slate is VFW and Leadership Clinton County. And I'm sure there's going to be lots more. So I'm making progress in my goals, and I'll keep you apprised of those as I go along. I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose, but every time I take another sip, I'm reinforced about all the reasons why I thought this was such a great district. I continue to see the wonderful things that are going on, the wonderful people that are here, the great support that's here in the school with our teams as well as the community. Moving on, in CTC, our machine trades program is involved in NASA Hunch. And so this is a program where our students in this machine trades program are given parts to make for NASA. So that's pretty exciting. The second registered apprenticeship class has started in CNC programming. So adult education in evenings for industry partners is happening. The program is approved through the Pennsylvania Labor and Industry. So we're getting some good partnerships through that. Even more exciting, 25 students placed first in districts at Penn College at Skills USA. And so they're going to be going on to Hershey for the state competition in April. So congratulations and kudos to those students. We also learned today that Kurt Lynch from our CTC program was able to earn almost $85,000 in a competitive grant to help support getting machinery and equipment for his programs. So this equipment is going to be going to agriculture mechanics, automotive technologies, drafting and design classes. So he's doing great work in finding those monies to help support his classes. I want to give a big shout out today. I listened in to our community connections meeting. So thank you so much to Rolanda, our Woodward Elementary principal, as well as Megan, who is our curriculum director. They do a community connections meeting where they talk about our federal programs. It's called our stakeholder consultation meeting. And I have to say it's the best version of that I've ever seen in almost 30 years of doing this business. She's extraordinarily well organized. She has her data well put together. She's very clear in explaining how we think about those funds, how they're distributed, how we prioritize our most needy students in our most needy schools. And at the same time, she's inviting input from our stakeholders and from the folks who are in the meeting. So I have to say it was beautifully done. It was a pleasure to watch, as well as extraordinarily informative. A couple of meetings that are coming up. On the 21st of February, there is a Sugar Valley Rural Charter School board to our board meeting set up 6 o'clock on the 21st of February in the charter school library. So I just want to put that on your radar. Tracy will be sending you reminders as we get closer to the date, but I want to make sure that's in your mind. I was in an IU10 a meeting today, and there's a legislative event on March 1st in Phillipsburg. So if you want to talk to our legislators, both for our region, but also more largely for all of IU10, they're going to try to gather as many as them as they can, put them in a room in Phillipsburg and set the board on them so they can talk about the things that are interesting and important to us as they get into their session. Last thing I want to talk about is a question that I have for you. Typically, we try to get our videos posted as quickly as possible. We're required to post our board meetings. And I was talking with Ed today, and we're going to try to have those up. Our goal is to have them up by end of day of Friday after a board meeting so that the public can view our board meetings. We're not required to post our committee meetings, but I wanted to check with you all to see if you want any of our committee meetings. And there's some that we won't be able to do, but if there are committee meetings they would like us to post the videos for, let me know. That's all
I almost think that would be a half decent idea, so that if we wanted to go back and relook at something to refresh our mind before another meeting, it's an easy way to do it.
And we already post some of them.
Some of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have,
I think- Just a second, Elizabeth.
okay.
I think we post them, but I don't know if we get it done within that timely fashion that you're talking about.
Okay.
So if we can just pick up the pace a little bit and get it done, put more work on Colton and Ed, guys, but get it done quicker. But I think that we all know we can't do safety, security, personnel.
Right.
There's some we can't do,
Right.
but the other ones, I think it's good for everyone to be out there. And it just helps with the transparency that we're all asking to have.
Okay.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Butch. Yes, in fact, it's perfect timing because I had another committee and just a few community members when I started talking about committees and then if they're allowed to come and they're like, huh, you have committees? And so I said, go to the YouTube channel. So that would then someone came back to me and said, but it's not posted. So having, in fact, if we could have something in writing someday that stipulates, under normal circumstances that we will do upon every effort to make sure public committee meetings and public voting work sessions are done in a timely manner. I think, and also having the link to those meetings, even on YouTube, would be helpful because it's so difficult for some people when I say, oh, just go to the website, look up board meetings, and then they have to click this, they have to click this, and they have to click this to see where the Zoom link is. So those are all things on my list, but thank you for checking one off. I appreciate it. This is exciting. It's where we're trying to be.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Anything else? No comment?
That's it.
Okay. Let's see. I don't think we have anything from student government. We had that report at a work session last week. Nothing new for committees. Don't have any new committee reports. Any questions on the informational items for the treasury report, financial report, or enrollment reports? Any questions? on
No, like
those?
I say, I got with Joni and she answered a lot of questions. I'm a little curious about all the candy we're buying. And I was told that was for rewards. So I'm a little curious about that, but and it's not a huge amount, but I kind of look at it as, is that healthy for the kids, the amount of candy? When you talk about $90 worth of gummy bears in 1 month, that seemed a little big, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, I don't know. I think I could be enticed more with a gummy bear to do something good in school than with a carrot, so.
It was just a
well,
question.
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, we need to keep an eye on all that stuff, not just to make. sure
Joni
it's
did a
low.
great job explaining to me my questions. I was tickled to death with
Right,
it.
that's why I said, if you- any questions? Go to the source, Dr. Redmond know you're
Yep.
asking and he'll direct you where to go, or if he can't find the answer for you, he'll tell you what to do or find the answer for you from the
Yep.
expert and get back to you.
And they did.
Great, thank you.
Um,
Yes, Elizabeth?
Thank you. Just a little backstory on that. And thank you about the candy. I cringe every time, but I know the teachers and the principals, they have a plan, so but a couple years ago, our food services director or supervisor, Ms. Hamburg, she got a USDA grant to help increase the nutritional values of our meals. Now, we haven't had an update from her from, I don't know, maybe a year or two. So hopefully that'll be somewhere down the line where we can get her back at the table and give us some updates on, the nutrition and things like that, or what she needs in the future. But that sort of dovetails with the candy thing. So, thank you, Chris, for bringing that up.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's a good idea. Personally, I mean, it's promoting or it's encouraging child diabetes. It's encouraging obesity in and amongst children. A lot of families don't choose to have sugar in their diet. Parents don't let their kids eat candy. They don't let them eat soda. And here we are giving them to as a reward.
I'm not real sure what they're
And-
using
and-
it for.
You know, we all know, or at least we should know, sugar is more addictive than heroin. And if we're promoting the use of Skittles and gummy bears for good behavior, you're encouraging a bad habit. I mean,
One of the things, I don't know who's actually ordering it and the exact purpose of it. Why don't we have that person come make a presentation to us? Would probably be an idea. We can look into that.
I'd like to request to give me a little time to look into this
Okay.
and
I mean,
make sure they understand some of the concerns that have been brought
yeah,
forward by the
I
board.
just don't think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I personally extremely limit the amount of sugar that my grandchildren take when they come to my house.
Mhm.
I limit the amount of sugar I take. I mean, 5 years ago, I was a diabetic, taking all kinds of pills, and I eliminated that from my diet, and I take no pills anymore. I take nothing for diabetes. I don't even have an issue. And to me, this is encouraging Because, you know, one gummy bear leads to two gummy bears, and the next thing you know, you're up at 10 o'clock at night eating gummy bears.
Thank you. Yeah, give me some time.
Yeah.
Let me look into that.
Yep, I
I-
will,
Yeah,
but
thanks.
I mean, that's my concern.
Sure.
Yeah, I would think that if you, my guess is it's probably part of the PBIS
Mhm.
program.
Yeah.
And I think if Dr. Redmond gets with the principals and that, I'm sure he can get us an explanation on it. I think it may not be as big a deal as it sounds, so.
Okay, no other questions on that?
Mm.
Thank you. Next up is on the board. We have a superintendent's attendance and the PASA leadership. Do we have a motion and a second on that?
I make that motion to let Dr. Redmond go to that.
We have a second?
Yes, I second it.
Any
I
questions?
second it.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. H2, it's a Penn School Safety Institute. I believe Mr. Scaff then to go for that training. We have a motion on H2.
So move.
Second,
I'll second.
Tom beat you, Elizabeth. Any questions on it? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving down into policies. I1, policy 701. A motion on that?
I make a motion that we suspend that for right now till we can get it into the policy meeting. And we can look at different options and we can overlook that whole thing a little bit.
So a motion to table?
To table it,
To
yes.
table? Do we have a second?
Second,
Second.
So Tom seconded, Elizabeth.
you're too slow tonight.
Any,
Well,
any questions on that? Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Policy 248, I2. We have a motion on policy 248.
I make a motion that we combine 248 and 348 together since they were the same thing. Combining them into that, I think it was policy 103 and 104 we discussed. And I make a motion that we suspend 248, 348 and move on to the PSBA recommendation.
So we have a motion to suspend 248 and 348. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jeff. Any questions? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next, we go into the minutes. We have a motion for minutes. 1 through 7.
I'll make a motion that we, okay, all them, we went, beat them with a dead horse.
They're gonna move motion,
I'll
J 1
second.
through 7.
Yes, 1 through 6 is what I
Yeah,
see.
I'm sorry, we have the same problem again with number 7. not
I
showing
only
up
see
on the
1
public
through
vision.
6.
So we can only do 1 through 6 right now.
Okay,
So I make a motion under
Okay.
J that we,
1 through 6.
yeah, we go through J 1 through 6.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second through work, J 1 through 6. Any questions?
Butch?
Yes, Elizabeth?
Yes, I do. I just made a request that last time, just so we have consistency. I'm not gonna stop anything, but just in the future. So they're always consistent, who nominates who and how everyone voted. And I see one changed, it was updated. But the other one, some of the other ones weren't. And also, I'd like to also bring to attention the personnel committee meeting notes. I think it's, so we all have the same information, if it could be handled maybe the same way the safety committee is. So the school board can review the discussion that happens during the personnel committee. So maybe that could be added to the next agenda. Thank you.
I'll tell you, we will do our absolute best to follow Robert's rules for all our minutes. And I believe the personnel items, as soon as they're able to be told and passed out to the rest of the board from the personnel committee, we'll make every effort to get them to the board. All right, any other questions on 1 through 6? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Under business. K1, we have a motion for K1 to pay our bills.
So move.
We have a second.
Second.
Second by Chris. Any questions on K1? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. K2. Resolution 144 of the delegates to the tax collection committee. We have a motion on that.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
we have a motion by Jeff, second by Tracy. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We have resolution 142 to commit funds.
Can we do 142 and 143 together?
You can make that motion.
Do we need roll call on the one for committing funds?
I think we do for the resolutions for committing funds. We have to for the resolution. We need to have a roll call vote. So for the next two, we'll need roll call votes. I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't hear what you said.
I just said, I think we might do 142, 143 together. Since we're just committing a fund and transferring it, we already went through that.
Okay. So, as Jeff said, we're gonna need to do a roll call vote for committing the funds for the resolution. So we're gonna have, we have a motion for resolution 142 and 143. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff. Any questions on those?
Who made the motion to begin
Chris.
with?
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Long?
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith. Yes. Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nos.
The motion passed. Next up, we have an engagement letter with Markham LLP. We have a motion for that.
So moved.
A motion by Jeff. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Tracy. All those in favor, or I'm sorry, any questions? All those,
This is just for the audits, for them doing the audits, right?
It was a name
Name
change.
change.
for
It was
the
a name
people
change.
that do.
Okay. All right.
it's just a change of the company that they changed their name.
Right.
so,
The company did not, that's not with ours.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, we'll need a roll call. So, if no other questions, we'll go roll call vote.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue. Oh, I think she's
Paula?
muted.
She disconnected and reconnected.
Mrs. Donahue? Oh, I can see her down there.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute and it said it was not allowing members to unmute themselves. Yes.
8 ayes, motion passes.
Okay, that was 5. Special tax solicitor engagement, that's the same thing, pretty much, they just changed the name. So we have a motion for K6.
So move.
Second,
Second.
motion by Jeff, second by Tracy. Any questions? If not,
I only have one question. Reading that letter, it says these rates may be modified from time to time. What does that mean? Right in the very first paragraph, the last line.
Sorry, where did you say that was?
Second page.
Second page,
First
first paragraph, last line. It gives the hourly rates, and then the last sentence of that paragraph says these rates may be modified by Eastburn and Gray from time to time. What's the
Yeah, do we
definition
have
of
any,
from
do we have
time to
any
time?
protection in there?
I don't know if it says anything further down, but
Who drafted it? Are they here? They can answer that question?
no, it's from the attorney.
And the attorney isn't there again?
It's not our attorney, Elizabeth.
No, this is,
Oh, okay, that's what yeah, that's what, okay.
This is with the tax office.
Nick would have to answer.
I think Tom has a viable point there. Cause
I agree.
you could go from 300 to 550 an hour to $1,000 an hour just by,
yeah,
I
I
think we
just
need to
wanted,
do
what's the
something.
definition of from time to time?
yes, I think we need that clarified a
like
little
to-
bit.
Table this, I can do some.
They want
research
to
and get
clarify
back
with
to you.
Nick.
Yeah. I'd make a motion to table that till we can
Oh,
get
wait a
some
minute.
Hold on a minute.
clarification.
Hold on.
We already have a.
We already
motion.
have a motion and second. This was under the questions. So we'll have to have whoever made the motion and second
Reverse it.
withdraw their motion or rescind their motion.
So I guess I made the motion, so I will make a motion to rescind the motion to pass item, whatever that was,
Rescind my
Okay.
second.
K6.
K6.
Tracy,
I'll
second.
rescind my second. Yeah.
Okay, the motion that's been rescinded. And then we'll need another motion for K6.
I will make a motion to table items K6 until we can get further clarification.
I'll
We have a
second
motion by
that.
Jeff to table. We need a second.
I'll second.
Chris seconded. Any questions on that?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that, you know, our solicitor, when we're doing contracts, that our solicitor is given an opportunity to review and comment, right? We're still doing that, right?
Yeah, our
Oh, maybe
solicitor-
this is being missed, maybe, all right, this would be a good one where maybe the solicitor, also having his comments would be very helpful. Thank you.
Jody said that he did review this already.
Okay, great. Well, that would be really good to know, in the future, like on board docs or something. That just a little line that says, KCSD solicitor reviewed and, you know, we don't have, but we never see the comments, so maybe the board could get the comments too, so. We all know.
Well,
Thank
good.
you.
Like Tom said, we need to know.
Yeah, I just want a definition of what time to time. I
That's
mean,
right, time to
Yeah.
time, yep.
you bring a contractor to your house and he says, well, time to time, my bill's gonna go this way or that way, are you gonna continue to use it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Good point. Thank you. So,
I think also, and it's not that I disagree because I don't disagree. But when you read further down into it, let me see if I can open it here while I have this open. It says, the district will have the right to terminate our services at any time, subject to Eastburn and Gray being compensated for services rendered. So I'm questioning, would we get a notification when those rates would change that we could say, nope, we don't want you to do the service. Your rate is, too large and we're gonna look elsewhere. Is that kind of like their way of saying it's not a binding contract?
Well, I would guess that, Polly, that you're right. I would think before they would, this is a firm that we've dealt with for quite a while. And I would think that certainly they would notify us if there was going to be any kind of a rate change, but I think that would have to be determined by probably Mr. Grimes he could give us the background, but Dr. Redmond can certainly check into that for us.
Yeah, I think we need to pursue it farther, so.
Yep, if it's not in black and white, it never was said.
All right, so we have a motion and second to table, and with no other questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion to table is passed. Let me get back to where we're at here.
Number 7.
So it should be K7, a real estate refund. A motion for that.
I make a motion that we repay them since they overpaid it.
I second it.
We have a motion and second. Any questions on a real estate refund? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Oh, do a roll call on that. Shouldn't have. Next is the PE equipment upgrades and repairs. Good contract, so any motion, we would need a motion on K8.
So move.
Motion by Jeff, so we have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Chris. Any questions? That's a contract. We'll do a roll call vote, please. Okay,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
yes.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue.
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 no, motion passed.
Motion passed. All right, next up is the student activity quarterly report. Need a motion on that, K9.
So move.
Motion by Jeff, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tracy. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passed. K10, CTC donation.
I make a motion to accept it.
A motion by Chris, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any questions?
Now, for them to give, the infant dolls and the CPR dolls to us, I think we could at least send them a nice little note that says, thank you very much.
I think it's usually done, so.
Okay.
Make sure that. Okay. So hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None, the motion passed. K11, the builder risk insurance policy. This is for the Liberty Curtain project. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Jeff. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Tracy. Sorry, Polly. Any questions? Hearing none. A roll call vote, please.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 no's, motion passed.
Motion passed. K12, the Quality Insurance Plus Agreement. Need a motion on that?
I'll make a motion. We do that since I grilled a few people on that at the last meeting and we got decent answers on it.
We have a motion by Chris. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any questions?
No.
Not roll call vote, please.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes,
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
and Mr. Knopf.
Yes,
8 ayes, 0 nos.
motion passed. K13, the connecting math concept and reading mastery. We have a motion on that.
I think we could probably, if everybody agreed to combine 13 and 14 together, because that was one that I asked about and was explained in detail fully to us for curriculum, and I agreed with it afterwards.
Make a motion.
I make
for-
a motion that we combine 13 and 14 together for the curriculums.
We have a motion for K13 and 14. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Elizabeth. Any questions? Not, do another roll call vote, please.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes,
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes,
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nos.
next is personnel, L1. Motion for L1,
So moved.
motion by Tracy. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any questions on the personnel? Nope. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. M1, athletic personnel. We have a motion on that.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Tracy. Any questions on athletic personnel? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Curriculum guide, M2. A motion on that.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff. Do we have a second?
No, second.
Second by Tracy. Any questions? I believe we need a roll call on curriculum.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes,
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
and Mr. Scaff.
Yes,
8 ayes, 0
motion
nos.
passed. Next up is N1. Have a motion for N1, adjournment.
I'll make it.
Motion by Chris, second,
I'll second.
second by Jeff. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. See you in a couple weeks.